Hey, what you say, food family? Mike here, and welcome back to the channel for another great culinary adventure. Today we're headed back down south to Mexico to make a traditional classic dish. You could prepare it for Cinco de Mayo, or you could just make it any day of the week. I'm talking about beef enchiladas. But of course, we're going to put our gringo spin on it, make some garlic beef filling, a chili garlic enchilada sauce. The only thing we're not making from scratch are the tortillas themselves. So if that still sounds good to you, stick around and I'll show you how it's done. Let's get cooking. Alright folks, today we'll start our enchilada recipe by making our beef filling. So of course, we have some ground beef here. I got some 90% lean, just trying to cut back on the fat. We're going to season that with some Worcestershire sauce. For our dry seasonings, we got some chili powder, granulated garlic, cumin, and some salt and pepper, of course. We'll start out this recipe by browning this meat off for about 6 to 8 minutes with these first seasonings, just till it's about half to 3/4 cooked. When we get to that point, we'll come right back for the next step. Alright folks, we cooked our ground beef for about 6 to 8 minutes. Most of the pink's gone, so we can move on to the next step. So the next thing we're going to be adding today is our diced onion. We're going to cook that for about 2 to 3 minutes just so it becomes softened up, a little bit translucent, and you really start to smell those aromas. Speaking of which, these dry seasonings in this ground beef are already smelling great, so be ready for the onion to really kick it up a notch and make your kitchen smell like Mexican heaven. Anyway, once our onion is cooked in there for a couple minutes, we're going to go in with a drained can of Rotel tomatoes. Now, if you want, you can slice up a fresh tomato. I love Rotel. It's perfect for these recipes like this, keeping things nice and simple. We'll let those tomatoes heat up for a minute or so, just so they're warmed through. At that point, we're going to have to make a judgment call. How loose, wet is your mixture? If it's more on the dry side, we're good to go. Don't need to do anything else. Maybe a tablespoon of all-purpose flour just to tighten things up one final bit. If you use a fattier ground beef, like an 80-20 blend or a 75-25, you're likely going to have some excess grease in there. Grease is flavor. Don't dump that out. Just put a little more flour in there. Tighten it up. Make like a thick gravy. Let that come together. So you want a nice, thick, tight mixture. We don't want things very wet and loose in here because our enchilada sauce is covering that purpose for this recipe. So our meat mixture, we want to keep nice, mostly on the dry side. So we'll get this beef filling finished off. Once it's done, we're going to add in some fresh chopped cilantro to finish things off, pull it off to the side, and we'll come right back and start working on that enchilada sauce. Alright folks, you saw in that previous clip, we finished off our garlic beef filling. That's chilling on the stove behind me. We can turn our attention to making this chili garlic enchilada sauce. Now this is where things turn a bit more gringo than traditional, but hey, I'm a gringo. I can do what I want to do with my own recipes, right? So, we're going to start out by making a roux. We're going to melt some butter in our pan, throw in some minced garlic just so it becomes fragrant, and put in equal parts flour. Now once that starts to thicken up, we're getting like a peanut butter color roux, we're going to go in with our beef stock. Bring that up to a boil till it starts to thicken, reduce it down to a simmer. Once we're at that point, we can throw in our tomato sauce and finish things off with some more chili powder and some cumin to reinforce those flavors we have in our garlic beef filling. Ain't nothing to it but just to do it. Let's make this chili garlic enchilada sauce. All right, folks, you saw in that previous clip, we created a rich, flavorful enchilada sauce, that chili garlic enchilada sauce. It's smelling absolutely amazing in here. One final tip before we start assembling everything together to put in the oven is we're going to toast off our tortillas. Now, most people usually skip this step, which means their enchiladas are soggy and messy and not that delicious. Spend a few minutes, toast off your tortillas just a minute or so per side. You don't have to toast them all the way like you're making a taco, just enough to dry them out just a little bit more than they already are before we start rolling these things up and making our enchiladas. So that being said, I'm going to toast these off. We'll come right back, start assembling everything, and move on to the next step. All right, folks, you saw there we toasted off those corn tortillas. We're using corn today, definitely not flour. Flour tortillas are for burritos and true gringos. We're making this somewhat traditional today, so we're sticking with the corn tortillas. Spend a few minutes, toast them off. It makes for a better final enchilada dish. Trust me, it's worth the effort. But that being said, we can finally go ahead and start assembling our enchiladas to bake in the oven. So I got my freshly toasted tortillas. We got some Oaxaca cheese, our garlic beef filling, and our chili garlic enchilada sauce. So we're going to start out by putting a layer of enchilada sauce on the bottom, like so. Alright, so we got that spread on the bottom. We're going to take a tortilla, grab a couple tablespoons of the meat. I like to fill mine up. Worst case, it spills out. Life goes on. A little bit of the cheese. I'm just going to wrap that over itself. Just like so. And the more you make of these, the easier it gets. Flip it upside down and lay it right in there. We're going to repeat this process till it's done. Alright, we'll do one more for example. Bit of the beef. We'll go a little less this time so it might actually close up. Sprinkle the cheese, and just do this over your pan. Whatever drips in is going to get eaten later anyway. Hand that over. Now just turn it over, seam side down. Now we're going to repeat this process. It's a little tedious. We'll speed forward through it. I'll come back to the next step. Alright, simple enough. We got them all rolled and wrapped in our baking pan. Next thing we're going to do is top these off with some more of this enchilada sauce. Alright, just as simple as that. We got our tortillas covered with the sauce. Nice, even, thin layer. Don't go too crazy with the sauce. Next step we're going to do, we're going to cover this with aluminum foil, throw it in the oven, 350 degrees, and bake it for half an hour. After 30 minutes, we'll take that foil off, top it with some extra cheese, give it another 10-15 minutes so that's brown and bubbly, and then it'll be time to plate it up and taste this delicious garlic beef enchilada meal. Now clearly we have some extra beef filling enchilada sauce and cheese left over today, so I'm going to show you a true gringo garlic beef enchilada casserole cheater version of this dish that might be a little bit easier than rolling all those things up individually. Stay tuned. Alright folks, while that oven preheats to 350 degrees, we got our garlic beef enchiladas hanging back on the stove. We can go on to making this gringo version that's a little simpler, saves a little time if you're in a hurry during the weekdays. So I've got another casserole dish here, just doing smaller ones since we have a few leftover ingredients. Just like the previous version, we'll start off with some sauce in the bottom. Alright, that's spread. Now, rather than rolling these up, I'm just going to take the tortillas and lay them down in a single layer. Now, they are going to overlap some, obviously. You can kind of run those up the side. Now we'll do a layer of filling. Of course, the next step's layer of cheese. And then we'll repeat the process. That should be good. We'll cover this up with aluminum foil, throw it in just the same as our other beef enchiladas. When we come back, we'll take the foil off and coat both with a layer of cheese and give them that last 10-15 minutes. Alright folks, you've seen the close-up. I garnished it with some pickled red onions, a little bit of sour cream. It is looking and smelling delicious, but that's only half the battle. Let's give it a taste test and see how it really turned out. The tortilla is nice and soft. Just cuts right through with the fork. Grab some filling. Bit of that tortilla. Absolutely amazing, folks. Really heavy on that garlic beef flavor. It is full of meat. Tasting delicious. The tortilla still holds its own. It's still got some bite to it. It's not soggy. Spending those few extra minutes to toast those tortilla shells really helped. So I'm going to go one more bite here. Get a little pickled red onion this time. This might just be the best batch of beef enchiladas the gringo has ever made, folks. I'm telling you what. Super beefy, meat-filled flavor. Tons of background notes there. That cumin, that chili powder really comes through. That garlic chili enchilada sauce absolutely pulls everything together. Serving up with those pickled red onions, a little bit of sour cream. Throw some pickled jalapenos on there if you want a little more heat, or add some cayenne pepper to your enchilada sauce. I'm telling you what, folks, this is kid-friendly right here, this version. If you like this, how I made it today, be sure to check that link in the description below. That will see my website with this basic garlic beef enchilada recipe. And while you're at it, be sure to sign up on my website. You'll get recipes sent to you for free each and every week. I don't send any other junk mail, just the recipes. If you don't like it, you can delete it and move on. Maybe check out some other recipes on there. Other than that, if you like what I made here today, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you want to see more great videos like this, be sure to hit that notification bell. That'll let you know every time I put out a video. I might be cooking something you want to learn yourself. So, other than that, until next time, folks, Mike here signing off. Just keep cooking. Oh, and one last thing, if I still got your attention, we almost forgot our casserole form of this, the super gringo version of these garlic beef enchiladas. They're going to taste exactly the same. They're just not rolled up. You can cut this into 4 to 8 pieces. Otherwise, you're going to eat 2 or 3 of those individual enchilada rolls. They're both delicious, super simple. This is a little faster to make. If you don't want to roll them together, it's going to come out the same. It's up to you. That being said, just keep cooking. Don't forget to keep eating too, because this is absolutely amazing. Salud.